Sometimes it's hard to focus, just to persevere and just to make it. But everything that's within your grasp, you gotta take it, you gotta go harder. Just dig deeper inside you to find that method, that mode that wants that hunger to survive, just to ride the grind, to take it the way you gotta take it and never stop.
I think like the money's more available. Maybe I'm at a point where it's like I have no understanding of the entire world, so it's like I don't know, but I feel like the money's more available than like people would imagine.
I think it is. I think a lot of it's just like about selling. Like
Yeah.
if you can give someone confidence that you are going to be able to be successful in this venture. But I think, so I've been going to this like startup, these like events downtown that happen once a month. And
Like pop-ups.
no, it's like this like investor group. And so they'll just like, it's like deal flow for like venture capitalists basically. It's like, well, it's like VC, some of it's like round 2, round 3, but yeah, basically just like startups. A lot of it's like med tech and stuff like that. But at least in that community, like most of the businesses that people are investing in, it's like the founder's like second or third or fourth venture.
Right.
Like when you have a track record of success, I feel like people are way more likely to invest in you. Because like, oh yeah, you've done it twice already. Or like, yeah, you had this, 20 or 50 or $100 million exit already. So you kind of like know what you're doing. There's not, at least in that community, there's not a lot of like people like our age that are just like pitching these random ideas. Yeah. So what have you been doing to get connected to like different VCs?
It all started with like, so my dad's a doctor. I'll say this for the podcast so people know. But my dad's a doctor. He's got like a couple different just patients who are like somewhat successful. And then funnily enough, my therapist as well was just kind of like, oh, like this is a really good idea.
I'm happy this time.
Yeah. And he was like, honestly, like I have a few like patients like who I think like would really love to meet you and like talk about this stuff. And I was like, cool. And then one of my painting clients is in like commercial cleaning. I think it's called Stratus is the like franchise. It's like a North American commercial cleaning business. And then as well, Josh's uncle, Bruce, he's a like Kiwi, New Zealand guy, is also in SaaS. And so I just kind of kept talking to those people. And then every time I have a conversation and I'm like, oh, that went well, I kind of just see if they know anybody else. And then just 2 weeks ago, I ended up talking to someone who is like, I guess a part of this, like their company is funded by a really big VC company in Canada. The guy who owns that company is like, was a dragon on Dragon's Den.
Jeez.
I don't know if I can say like, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about like, but that was cool. And so then like he's been reviewing our pitch. And I think you just get like better and better, like as it goes, like each conversation is better. And then you don't even realize it's happening, but then you're like, whoa, like I kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about, you know, like it doesn't feel like it though. Like it doesn't feel like it at all.
So where are you at right now with the app in terms of development? And then like, what are you hoping? So let's say you get some funding. What would you be doing with the funding?
So where we're at right now, it's been, I guess 3 years since we had the idea. Get some work outside. 3 years since we had the idea, and then pretty much like I would say 7 months of like hardcore like this is what we're gonna do. We have like a full MVP product done that I guess takes measurements and like anything that you would do for a typical painting quote and spits out prices and like allows you to create different options for the client. You've used it before, right?
Yeah, I've used it. It's pretty sick.
Essentially, like if you're a StudentWorks operator, I'm assuming like a lot of your viewers would be, it's really just the exact StudentWorks quoting process with our own like modifications and like functionality. So like the visual aids, essentially, we've designed like all the functions are things that we've designed, but we've taken their kind of like really, really messy process that they've taught us and then condensed it and made it a lot more efficient.
And made it digital, so you're not writing scribbles on these sheets and all these boxes. You just add the standard, add the amount, and it spits out the final quote.
Yeah, which is...
And it would be for like all trades, or what do you think?
Yeah, so, and then I guess your other question was like where we're hoping to go. So it's called Estimate. That's like the name, which I think is pretty cool. It's like the Estimate. And it's so obvious, but Brian was just like, yeah, like this is my co-founders, it's Josh and Brian. But yeah, he was just like, estimate, like it's your friend, like it's your mate.
Yeah, estimate.
And where we're hoping to go with it, so we really want to start out by just like really nailing painting and making it like a great calculator. Like you don't want to kind of, I think a lot of people, they'll have all these different, like I have a bunch of ideas that I have in like a notebook and a Notion page and all over the place that I'd love to see. But I think you really want to get like people just testing the product, and you want to make sure that like you do one thing really, really well before you start to kind of scale and add more features. So right now it works and it's a great estimator. So we really just want to get it out there and get people using it, get as much feedback as we can, and then just make sure that that part of it's great. And then the kind of next step would be to make sure it applies to any painting business in general. So just like anyone who's a painting contractor, not just a student business, which we're pretty close to that already. I feel like it's just that we haven't had people from like contracting.com, like that's Pat's kind of thing. He's looking to get, you know, people on it from there. So we'd get like more testing from that. And then the plan would be to then just go to like I said, Stratus is like commercial cleaning business. They're looking to have like a, you know, something for commercial cleaning. But it would just be essentially anyone who's in trades, hopefully. They would just be able to like do sales. And the idea is that like, it's not like, I think a lot of existing estimating apps out there are very like complicated, and they're not like Excel. If you were to hand someone Excel and be like, you know, write me a business model, it's blank. And they're like, what the heck? Like, I don't really know how to do this. And you could Google it and search it up. But the idea with this is that you'd essentially take any like electrician or any painter or really anyone who's like just familiar with like a little bit with the trade, they can just instantly become a salesperson for your business. Yeah.
So it takes out all like the knowledge that you need about the trade, and it's more just like, these are the measurements, input it in, and these are the prices. I'm curious, can you tell us more about like your co-founding team? Because I know it's you and two other people. So like, what different roles do you guys play in this? So
it's myself. I guess I'm kind of the CEO. I don't really know what a CEO does, but like I do all the sales and all the like talking and emailing to people, all the accounting, all of the like applying to grants. We've applied to a bunch of grants. I incorporated the business. So I guess more like the business strategy side of things. But a lot of that just comes with talking to people. I think that's my skill. I'm just comfortable talking to people and asking good questions. That's mostly what I do. And then that comes along with, I guess, just like keeping Josh and Brian somewhat accountable to the vision. So just like getting them to buy in and be like, guys, this is going to work. Like for a while, that's what it was. And now they're like, like, I want to quit my job. I want to do this full time. So that was like a big step that they kind of both took. But for a while it was like, when are we meeting? You know, like just that kind of stuff. Brian went to design school. So he went to OCAD for graphic design and like UX and UI. So he's mostly been fleshing out, like, I have a bunch of ideas. I can like create like a little wireframe and stuff like that. But he was able to really like look at other apps, look at how, you know, the space is currently, and really design good functionality around like some of the features that we have. The more complicated ones being like just like choosing the painting options. I guess it's like a kind of confusing one where you have like all these different quotes and you want to be able to select like which things you actually want as a part of the quote. And you want to be able to do that on a phone and on a computer. So you got to make sure that like, because we don't have enough funding to be a dedicated app or a dedicated web app, or sorry, dedicated like desktop app. So it's like you kind of have to design for both at once, which is kind of confusing. And he's really, really good at that. And then just like all of our branding. So like the pitch deck, I kind of write all the content and then he makes it look really, really good and make sure that we can present it well. And then Josh had experience with Ernst & Young and Microsoft, just building apps for them with like React Native. So he did pretty much all of the back end, front end coding. And we do, like me and Brian try to help him out with like HTML and more like simple stuff. But Josh is the code monkey.
Nice.
And we split it just 3 ways.
So Josh is like product guy. He's the one who's actually doing the coding itself. Brian's like more like on the design side, making sure things look aesthetic, like with the branding, the app, all that good stuff. And then you're more on the business side, like, you know, reaching out, getting funding, you know, basically organizing the business. Yeah.
Organizing the business, and we all kind of like like it was my idea at first, but it's really become something else in like the 3 years that we've been working on it. So we all kind of do help with the development of the product. Yeah.
Nice.
What's like the main functionality of the product, like as it is? Because I know you guys want to do a bunch of stuff. You're talking about payment processing, and imagine that's a little bit further down the road. Like for now, it's just like what, like walk me through like what like a person would be doing as they're using the product.
Yeah. So as the idea is Estimate allows anyone to master quoting in minutes. I think is our like official, that's like the slogan we thought of. But like, I guess to walk you through it, you'd start out with your like client information. So you input the lead, any like notes about the job from the 8-point phone call, would go in there, like address, all that stuff. And then once you have that in, it takes you to a screen that just says like build quote. So from there, you just kind of add your surfaces. So it's like, if I'm doing a painting quote, I'm probably like, let's say we're in this room right now, I'd be looking around, like talking to the client about the job, and I'd just add in like, okay, this is a room. Like I'm just going to add the room or a wall or a ceiling, like something that you can actually see physically. And it's not really associated with a standard or anything like too specific. It's more of like an item. So that's like one difference from the way that StudentWorks currently quotes is this is like, it's just like a surface. So like you'd have board and batten siding, or you'd have wood, or you'd have a fence, or stucco, like items essentially is what you're adding, and you're making kind of like a skeleton of the quote. And those are branched into exterior and interior items. And then once you've added an actual item to the, I guess, skeleton, that's when you can kind of be more specific about it, and you can modify it based on like what the like level of intricacy, like depends on which thing that you've chosen, but like.
And then it spits out at the end. What does it spit out? Just like a price? Like does it spit out like a contract? Like.
Yeah. So there's a couple different things. So yeah, once you've quoted the thing, like I said, you've added in the measurements, any like prep, stuff like that. Once that's done, it tells you the hours and the amount of gallons, like the product that you'd be using. And then once there, like you input your business model, whatever it is, and then it tells you the final price with markup of each task, I guess. And then you can just, based on what you've selected, what option you want, it tells you the total cost of the job and the total time. And then from there, you can also generate like production planners, so like work orders to give to your employees, just instantly generated, like contracts. So just like something to give, it's client facing, and it shows them kind of all the different options, almost like a sales pitch. So it's not that like tiny little green sheet where you like write in, like you try to fit in all the, I think it's the like surface paint area, whatever this says on the contract. So it just tells like completely clear, like everything, and that's client facing. So it doesn't have like a great breakdown of the price. It's less specific, but you can add in more, like, I think it was your podcast, the first episode, you were talking about how you like to break down stuff like item by item. If it's a smaller quote, it's like you want to say like $30. So there's functionality to like break stuff down into like just prep or like just smaller amounts so they can see what's happening. And then the third document is more like business facing. So it'd be all the information that's going into a CRM, like Simon.
Cool.
Nice.
I just kind of,
Yeah, no, it's good. I've used it before. It works really well. One thing I know, like, I remember testing it like a while ago, back when Josh was first building it, and the like UX UI was like pretty good. It was, it was decent. It looked good. It worked pretty well. But then the prices like weren't really accurate.
No.
Because there was like originally.
Right.
Because there was just like a lot of like small tweaks and stuff. But the last time I used it, I tried a few different quotes, like interior, exterior, and the prices were like basically bang on.
Yeah.
Like what I would quote. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it actually works now.
The biggest issue we had was with it was actually the painting, like the gallons. Because the least specific thing that exists in the StudentWorks process currently is just the surface standards. They're terrible. Like,
agreed.
yeah, it's like you just have to guess. And like some things, it's like with doors and garage doors, it's fine. But like I think like windows, with the window standards are so confusing to me. Because you don't actually, like, nobody, I don't know if you guys do, but like nobody paints those, like, what do you call that? Like the window panes?
Yeah.
Like, I've never painted a window pane. I've only ever painted a window frame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll paint
I've done a few jobs with window panes as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just like the way that you'd quote like a window, the amount of paint for like a window, or like baseboards, there's no like surface standard for those things. So I think the painting, the gallons was off, and we just had to like, I just had to go based on like a bunch of old quotes that I had and figure out like standards for each thing specifically.
Nice. So what are you guys cooking up now? Like, are you guys still working on the app? Are you looking for money? Like, what process of what step of the process would you guys say that you're in?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, mainly, we want to get away from developing and like working on the app, because I think a lot of people spend time just like talking about things. I'm trying to like phrase this in the right way. What I said to Josh yesterday in a meeting was like, we don't want to be creating problems. We want to be solving problems. And like the more we develop, the more we like add functions, the more we like do things before we've tested it and just like make sure like everything works. We're just kind of creating issues and creating problems. We think that like you might feel like, oh, like we're adding and we're improving, but it's not true. It's like we have something that works. We want to get it out there. So I'd say the stage that we're in is just really focusing on like testing. So just getting it in as many people's hands as possible, getting them to use it, getting feedback, and then just making sure that like we have something that's really, really perfect at what it does, which is like quoting painting jobs, and applying like any feedback that we get, and then also finding a way to pay Josh. This is kind of like our two big issues right now.
I'd love to hear more about like your strategy for beta testing. Like, how are you getting it in the hands of users, and then what's the eventual path to like monetization for you guys? Like, what sort of revenue model are you looking to implement?
Yeah, and I'm not like a business like, even though I have the business role, my background was in engineering, so I don't know if I use the business words when you ask me like what's your pricing model, like is that what you said? I don't even know if that's what you said.
Yeah,
revenue model. Yeah. We have like a pricing model and things we've talked to. I'm actually talking to someone at 3 today about like how to better figure this stuff out. That wasn't a very articulate sentence, but eloquent sentence. What did you ask me?
So like, I guess first question is just like, how are you getting it in the hands of users? And then once you do get it in the hands of a bunch of users, let's say you get good feedback, maybe you beta test and iterate a couple different things here and there. Like, when you do eventually start trying to monetize it, is it going to be like royalty? Is it going to be flat fee? Is it going to be like a lease like per year? Like, how are you hoping to actually monetize it?
Okay. So first question in terms of testing, we had, like, obviously you tested it. We had a team of 15 operators from StudentWorks who were using it, and they all gave like really, really good feedback. The only thing that people were stuck on was like that prep should come before painting, because I guess the way that they choose standards, people weren't like aware. There was like no onboarding. There was no like, it was just like we wanted a blank canvas, just like go nuts. Mm-hmm. So we got tons of different feedback, but luckily a lot of it was just like, this is great. And then from there, so it's kind of like, I guess, tackling both at once. But the idea was originally we would go with StudentWorks. They would kind of have some kind of trial period before they really paid anything. They'd give like they paid a flat rate, just like a one-time fee of $2,000 to onboard Josh and to help like their, I guess, CRM talk to our app through an API. I don't know how technical I should be getting.
That's fine.
But yeah, so basically just allows them to talk to each other. So we set that up, and then we pitched to Helen, the big boss, and basically just like kind of laid out the product, explained, and it was like the pitch was really lacking clarity because I was pitching to someone who was like a client, a like pilot client as well, like not just a client, but like our pilot client. So they're all our testers. They're also like potentially an investor, and obviously they're like our mentors too. So it was like kind of difficulty. Like I had difficulty navigating that just because I didn't clearly articulate like, this is how we're going to price to everyone else, because obviously an investor wants to know that stuff. They want to know like your market, they want to know like your pricing model and your business and all that stuff. But then like as a, when you tell that to someone but they're also your pilot client, it's like they're going to go, whoa, wait, like we're not paying that. And you're like, yeah, we know. So we kind of lost them a little bit there. But the plan was to kind of roll it out to like all of the veteran operators with StudentWorks. And they were going to pay, originally we had broken it down to the time savings. So my most conservative guess was per season, an operator would save about 72 hours. That was based on like their average business. So I just looked at their like how much a lead costed, how many estimates they'd need, how many production planners they'd need, how long a sale took on average, and their booking rate. And I figured that for like admin time, so just like uploading stats per estimates, it'd be about 5 minutes of time savings. And then for production planners, I said 15 minutes a planner. And then for the actual estimate, they'd save 10 minutes of time. And like if you look at a spread on like if I do 100 quotes, like some of them are going to be 3-hour quotes and some of them are going to be like 30 minutes. So a 30-minute quote is probably not going to save, you're not going to save much time. But a 3-hour quote where you have like 9 different pricing options and it's like a full exterior interior, like you'd save an hour, right? So it's like that's kind of how I figured like 10 minutes was pretty conservative. And same with the production planners. We couldn't really factor in all the things like just like when you lose a sheet of paper or like all the risks that comes with just having inaccurate pricing. Like I know, Phil, you had a little bit of an issue with your profit in your first year. And like this would have really helped you with that because you just would have had, a consistent pricing model. Exactly which standards to choose. It's not like, it's more descriptive. So the standards aren't like based on, like trying to think of a good example. Like some of the standards in the book apply to like 6 different things and you don't know which one to choose. Whereas now it's like, you're just choosing like, is this a fence? Yes, it is a fence. Is this a fence that's made of wrought iron? Yes, it is. Is this a decorative wrought iron fence? Yes, it is. And that's it. It's like very binary as opposed to being like ambiguous.
Gotcha.
Kind of went on a tangent there, but yeah, so our pricing model was based on that time savings. So 72 hours, I said that, an operator like makes about $30 an hour. And then we were going to charge a fraction of that, like time savings. So I think 72 times 30 was around $2,100, I think. And then we were going to charge, it was 3% of that. Originally, they didn't like that. They were like, this doesn't make sense. Like, that's a lot of money.
3% of that being like $200, not even like $100 per operator.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
$100 per operator.
It was $200 per operator. But like when you scale it to 180 people, it was like close to I think like $160,000.
Oh.
I don't know if I have a calculator like on me.
No, it'd be like 16K.
Yeah. What is it, like less than 20K? So it was 2,000 per operator.
Let's make sure. I think it was we were doing 3% of 72 hours times $30 was $2,600. We wanted 3% of that. Yeah. It was like 16. I guess it was only like $16,000. But they kind of shut me down before I even got to and this was like months ago. I was just talking to Pat and Devin about it, and they were like, no, like this you can't like price it this way. So before I'd even reached the like end of that kind of thought, they were like, no, like we got to look at it a different way. So then we switched to a revenue-based model, which was like, okay, like if you have 72 hours of time savings, we figured that would lead to at least like 5 sales, and which I thought was reasonable. Like an estimate takes an hour, so an extra 5 sales a year, like that to me seemed like a really good number. And then I kind of showed them the return on the investment they would get. So it was like I think like close to $1.5-2 million for just like if they had like an extra 5-6 sales per user. But then Helen, and that's the one we actually pitched on, and I said like we would take like 3% of the growth, which like if you zoom that out to the entire business is even smaller. It's like 0.64% of the revenue.
If the revenue increase?
So it's 3% of the revenue increase, which is like 0.64% of the total revenue. but then they were saying like there's no way to really draw a line between like revenue growth and like what your app does.
Yeah, I think it sounds like one of the struggles that you might have had in that is that you hadn't really like proven the concept.
Yeah.
Because like I'm sure if you had like trials where you were like documenting with like 40 users and you had, or you even had like a control group, like you took 20 users with it, 20 users without it, and you like measured their performance. Because one other thing I could see, like you sound like you originally focused on the time savings, which is definitely like one piece of it, but also I think the increased like professionality and trust from like a higher closing rate could definitely be a factor. Here, one second, I'm just gonna restart this camera while we're.
No worries.
It restarts every 27 minutes.
Yeah. And obviously you can hear like when I'm talking about it, like I'm scattered, right? So it's like I don't.
Yeah, well, you're just trying to navigate the space because obviously this is the first time. Like, I'm curious, do you have any mentors that are like helping you? I know you said you've been talking to like some past clients, things like that.
Yeah. So the one guy is Josh's uncle Bruce. He does like I think he's a developer for a SaaS company. He does more like the tech side of things. And then his partner Casey is someone we've just been recently talking to, and he does like all the sales and accounting. And he gave like I was like glued when I read this email he sent me because we sent him a video of our pitch, and I thought like we fucked that up. Like I thought for sure we were gonna go into it and kind of explain everything to Helen, and then like when I was gonna explain my pricing model, and then they were just gonna be like I said to them like we are not attached to any outcome. Like this is just what I thought, but there's like I'm not attached to any kind of outcome, and I would love to just like open the floor up and see like. You know, like, what are you guys thinking? Like, what would you guys think? Mm-hmm. Or, like, how should we, navigate this? We trust you guys. Like, we want this to just be a transparent conversation. It's not something, like... but it was pretty difficult to get past that, like... I just threw out big numbers, right? It was, like, an extra $2.5 million in sales from, like, 6 estimates a person. And they were like, this is just, like, a lot of money. And, and then they just kind of, like, picked that apart.
Did you consider doing like free trials with them, like getting some of their operators? Because you're also getting value from that as well. Like you're beta testing and you guys are like getting the data, and they're like the perfect group to go into. So I think it's tough. Like if you ask them for money right off the bat before you've even proven the concept, and you're kind of like making these assumptions based on just like what's in your head, it's going to be harder. Even if it is accurate, like it's less like valid. Yeah. Whereas if you are able to like get in the door and like start testing on operators for free, like they're getting value from that and you're getting value from that. And then once you've like proven concept, because either like things are going to go wrong, which I'm sure they will, and you can iterate. Maybe it leads to like no growth. Maybe it leads to a loss in closing rate or extra time from the learning curve. And so it's like, okay, fuck, we actually need to change the product. Or if things go well, and again, maybe there's a process where it starts to go wrong, iterate, and then it starts to go well, then, you've now like got some of their operators hooked on this. And you have all the power because they haven't been paying for shit, and you've been giving them this free product, which is now helping, especially like a lot of the top performers, like the veterans and stuff like that. So it gives you like a lot more of a leg to stand on when you go to then negotiate pricing.
So the way that I had set it up was that like we wanted to agree on a contract for like 2 years, but they wouldn't pay anything until like it was actually proven. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of the idea. It was that like you guys are going to be our pilot client. You're going to test it out. I've tested it. I know it works. We've had 15 people use it. We know it works at the very least. And we're going to get you guys into like a 1 or 2 year contract. We're going to agree to a certain amount of money for that time. And you're not going to pay a cent until we're like 100% that we're confident that this is something that's going to work for you guys. And then like after that 1 to 2 year period, we'll either finalize a reoccurring fee or we'll propose like a license in perpetuity of just like, this is how much you'd pay to just own it for the lifetime of your business. Yeah.
So what happened there? How to end? You're kind of getting towards the end of the story. It sounded like they didn't love the big numbers. Then what happened after?
So after we had that and I don't know if like this is gonna be like bad. I don't know if it's a big deal because like what if like student works operators are like listening in and then like hearing like all this stuff.
I'm sure they are listening in.
Yeah.
So share it to the level that you feel comfortable with.
I guess I'll just be honest. They ended up talking to like a third party Vietnamese company, like just like a company in Vietnam, and to me it sounded super sketchy. But it was like these developers would be like we'll pay them like a quarter of the price essentially. So it's like just very very like cheap software. And they basically, I guess, because we had pitched all these ideas and all this growth and all our future ideas and stuff, they were like, this is great. We just want to build an entirely new CRM. Like Simon, I've been complaining about it for years. A lot of people don't like the way that it works. And so they kind of walked away from that meeting feeling like, oh, like we just need an entirely new CRM. And if we're going to pay for a new CRM, like we might as well get those developers to
make an estimate.
Make an estimating app.
Yeah.
So then where I left it off with them was like, the biggest issue with like software, like I guess the example I gave to Devin was like, as someone who's like, I'm a medical engineer, that's what I studied, biomechanical engineering. If I was an amputee and I was missing a leg, like the best person to make me a new leg would be me. Like absolutely hands down, if I knew how to like build myself a leg, if I had the tools to do that, I would be the best person as the user, like 100%. And where engineers go wrong is they don't have like a deep care and deep understanding of the user and their needs. And that's why you have someone like a occupational therapist who's going to be able to translate what the user needs to an engineer. So that way, you know, you can design around those specifications. And the same thing goes for like a painting app, for example. It's like I was a contractor and I'm an engineer and I know Josh really, really well. So I'm able to talk to him. Like, so the end of the day, like our product is just going to be like way better. And if you're going to use this product for 20, 30, 50 years, like you want something that's not static. Like the issue with Simon was you paid a one-time fee. They made you a product. There probably wasn't a lot of testing. You hired a developer to kind of be able to, you know, go back and fix the things that were wrong with it and do that user testing.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do that.
Yeah, they're stacking on like extra code to try to like fix things, and it's just like a big jumbly mess, and it's like at some point you might need to start over. So I'm curious for you with Estimate, because I know you said you have like a bunch of ideas in the future. Is it something that you would potentially hope to build into like a functional CRM to implement within a contracting business, or are you thinking this is more like an estimating app that would integrate with, you know, HubSpot and Salesforce and Jobber and all those things?
I haven't looked into like the CRM space like too much, so I don't know like what's out there already. I don't know a lot about the like other sales apps and other industries as well. But the idea that I had in my head right now was that like where we are kind of different is our design. So like just the way that people interface with the app is really, really good. So the goal was to be able to just take anyone who's a contractor like in a trade and just allow them to like basically become a business owner was the goal. But I think like a smaller goal with that is just like allowing anyone who's in trades to become a salesperson for their business. So I think like a lot of tradespeople struggle with sales. That's usually the thing that's like their first bottleneck is like, oh, like I can use Excel, like I could figure that out. I could hire an accountant. They probably already do. But like really doing sales professionally and not just being some dude who shows up and is like
600.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Is weird. So like being able to just like generate a contract, generate a work order, and then like it makes it easier for them to delegate. Makes things kind of make sense, and it gives them a system to follow.
So would the idea be that this is more helpful for people who like don't have, because I know originally you were talking about like it you know, someone can learn estimating in minutes. So like that would be someone who's like not a contractor, like for example Student Works, someone comes in, they have no experience in the space and they're able to like actually quote a job accurately, get a good price, and then get a work order. I think a lot of the time when it comes to like contractors who like have experience in the space, like for sure like their pricing like could be better. A lot of the time they are just like ballparking, but if you've been in the space for a while, like your ballparks are probably accurate. I think it's maybe more like the sales process they don't understand, and they're just like firing off like these orders, like take it or leave it, and they're not really understanding like the customer's needs. So how do you see that in light of your product? Like, are you more focused on contractors who have experience in the space, newer people, a bit of both? Like
that contractor who has experience in the space, like if he wants his business to grow, how's he going to do it? Right now he's the only salesperson for his business, right? So he's going to hire salespeople.
Right.
Boom. Estimate.
Okay, so it's where contractors want to grow their business by delegating the actual estimating process, so they can have their time back to, you know, hire, train new people, all that kind of stuff.
Or someone who's new to sales too, like who just like knows about painting, is like a new user. So it's kind of both. It's just like helps people become more familiar with the quoting process and gives you more control over like if I want to hire a salesperson, I don't have to worry about like
Are they gonna quote drop
Yeah.
back? Are they gonna underquote, overquote? Yeah.
I can just see what they're doing, and I'll get real-time insights. Like one of the features we're going to work on is the like just live work orders. So like it'll keep track of employees' time, it'll help you with payroll, and then like you can see like each standard. Like if I'm quoting a wall at 3 hours and it took my guys like 5 hours, like I can just see the production planner like in real time, like which standards are profitable.
Right.
So then you can even have like for a business, I could say like, stop quoting deck jobs, like those aren't working for you guys, or like stop delegating deck jobs to this crew because that's not working, right? And you can see based on the metrics from those like planners like what's actually profitable for them.
And I would imagine at some point in the future, like once the machine gets more and more data, it could even like update the quoting systems. Like each business could have their individual, because right now it's just like, interior wall is going to be 150 square feet per hour or whatever it is. And then, if your crews consistently are doing, 125 per hour, then the app would like know that, and it could just be like your businesses or your crews or your painters system.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like that.
There's a lot of different ideas too.
Yeah.
It's like when you mentioned data, like when we have a bunch of data on like standards and like eventually there's going to be pictures. So like you guys do video walkarounds and like photos of stuff. So it's like in those contracts, you just take photos of what you're quoting. And like if those pictures are accurate enough, like you could train like AI models to just make it so that like take a picture of a job, tells you how much it, tells you the price. So there's like lots of different ways we could go with this. We just have to keep doing it.
And starting to make money first, because like obviously once you become profitable, you can just hire really good developers.
Yeah.
You can have people doing R&D on the cutting edge, like implementing new AI products, and you can have people on the back end customer service, so you can continue to grow and just like actually stack. But obviously like getting profit first is kind of like what's needed. So how long do you figure until you guys kind of like break even? Like I know you're looking at potentially raising some money right now. I think most of the money you guys are looking to raise is just like to pay yourself so you can actually work on it full time. Is that Are you hoping to bring anybody else on, or for now just the three of you guys?
I guess we'd need to see, like, I think it'd make the most sense probably to hire another developer first. Like that would be the first thing we would want to hire in. But right now, like everything's been fine. Like in terms of just the expectations we set with clients, like we've been fine just addressing their feedback and updating things quickly. So I don't think we would really want to grow the team like much that I could see. And even now, like when we're raising money, like I feel like the main goal would just be to pay Josh. It wouldn't even be like me and Brian have a source of income. Like right now we're just running a business, like painting business. So that's like how we... Good.
Have you started already?
Yeah.
Sick.
Just marketing, just getting leads.
Nice.
And using the app. Which
Nice.
is sick.
Yeah,
that's-
super cool.
yeah,
So you
that's
guys
really
are
cool.
you guys are beta testing on yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super sick.
But we have like a source of income. But Josh doesn't want us to pay him because obviously we're friends as well. So he just like doesn't want to complicate things that way. Yeah, and then I guess in terms of how much we'd be looking for, I think Josh wants a salary of like $75,000. So somewhere around like $100,000 would be like ideal, I think.
It's a super reasonable amount of money to raise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like we also don't want to go like the friends and family route. Like that's such a I don't know. It just seems weird because we also want mentorship too. It's like my dad gives me $10,000 if my friend's mom like they're not gonna give me any like distribution. They're not gonna help with discovery. They're not gonna like But we're just kind of at the point now like where maybe we could have like a follow up conversation like at the end of the summer when things are I can reflect back on it. But like right now, like today at 3:00, I'm talking to someone about our pricing model, like figuring out like what actually makes sense. And like I've thrown out all my ideas to him and he's like, you did a great, like he watched the pitch and he's like, this was great. Like there's so many good things. And like I have tons of feedback in terms of like the way you decided to price things. So like I'm super excited to learn about that.
Nice.
I spoke to a guy last week who, he's the one who kind of introduced me to that like just like big Canadian tech VC firm. His company is owned by them and he really liked my pitch and I was just meeting with him for coffee. Like it wasn't like I was trying to make anything happen, and he just emailed me yesterday and said, hey, like I couldn't stop thinking about your product and meeting you. I really like enjoyed the conversation. If you ever need anything, let me know, and please forward me the slides because like I want to send them to my like the people I know. So that could lead somewhere. And then also the guy I'm meeting about pricing today, Casey, he knows a couple people in Colorado who do like VC. So he was like looking at to set up some meetings for us about it. But I don't even know how to like value our company. Like I have no idea how to like say like this is what we're worth and this is how much like equity. I don't know.
Are you guys looking for ways to find like new testers or clients like outside of StudentWorks? Like, do you have anyone like just like random like old like Swedish guys who run a painting business like using it?
We've just been so focused on the product that we didn't like. We're just starting to do that stuff now. So we've reached out to a couple different contractors about using it just to get it in their hands, and obviously me and Brian are using it as well. And that's been going well.
Yeah, I think it's like you just test it on your own business.
Yeah.
And then like when problems come up, you're like, oh fuck, this is a problem.
Yeah.
And then you can go ahead and deal with it.
Lots of fun though. Like it's so helpful for me. Like it's everything that I ever wanted. I was just like so frustrated by doing the quoting system in the program, and now that I'm out, I'm like, this is so nice. Yeah.
That's it.
Sweet. What else has been going on for you, like personally? Like, how's the journey been? Because I know obviously you used to run your business, and now you're, still like running your own business, but it's like a totally different type of environment. Like, what's that been like for you? Kind of like leaving StudentWorks and trying to pursue this new opportunity.
That's a good question. I think leaving the program has been really, really cool. Obviously, like, because I'm working on the app, I still get to see Devin, and like Pat and like my old mentors, and like being friends with like you and Tico. Like I still get to have some kind of connection to it. I think it's mostly just nice. Like it just fires me up knowing I don't have to pay a royalty. To be completely honest, like that's the big thing. It's just like I can pay my painters like so much more, and like this is all for me. Like it's just all about like me and my business, and there's no one really telling me like what to do or how to do things, or like recommending how to do things even like in any kind of way. It's just like but you're obviously not as surrounded by like the community aspect is very different, right? And so like it's kind of different when you're not seeing people all the time who are just like quoting all the time and marketing all the time and like motivating you to go out and do that stuff. But obviously like me, like I have Brian, and like me and Brian hold each other accountable, which is good. But like I think that's probably the biggest thing is just the accountability that the program offers you is insane. It makes it really, really easy to
It
just
just sets the bar so fucking high. Like there's like some random 18-year-old who's like booked at 100K, and you're like, oh fuck, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it just the standards are so high. Like everybody's running 6-figure businesses, a bunch of random people who've never done it before, and so it's just like, oh, this is just what I do. I go out and market. I hire marketers. I close jobs. I book 10-20K a week. Like
something I think is so funny is there was a guy like in my high school who I hadn't spoken to in like a really long time, and Dante, who's in the program with me, and I always remember seeing him on the leaderboard being like, okay, fuck this, like, are you kidding me? Like, I gotta, like, fuck, I'm so competitive. But now, like, we've kind of structured our business in a way, like, with me and Brian, where it's like the sale's worth 6%. So I'm gonna go out and fucking sell. And I'm like, Brian, like, fuck you, there's no way you're gonna get 14 leads. Like, I'm gonna, like, so we compete with each other, which is fun. And then
when you see the sales worth 6%, that's like whoever sells the job will get 6%.
Yeah, like we get the commission, right? So it's like that's the way we do it. Production's different, but like with marketing and sales, like that's the way.
And is that for lead and close? Lead, appointment set, and close is 6%. How'd you guys land on that number?
Just
it's a pretty reasonable number. I'd say 6-7% probably industry standard.
I think Tico, when he was running his business, told me that he paid Josh 2% per lead, which seemed like a lot. But I guess that's like fair, because $1,000 job, like 2%, $20. And then he paid Josh 6% for sales. So I was just like, let's just not worry about the leads, because like that's whatever. Like I don't really care about getting leads. I don't want to be paid for getting leads. Like that's just like you have to do that. But closing sales is 6%. So and 6%.
So what kind of structure do you guys have set up? Because obviously you and Brian both have good experience in the space, and now you've had some time to reflect on it. You're obviously working a lot of time on like the estimating app, and now you're coming in and like looking to run this business full time. I assume the idea is to like make cash so you can fund your life and other things while you're also like testing your app. So like, what system do you have set up within your business so you can kind of like, you know, maximize like profit without, you know, being too busy 24/7 in the business?
Yeah. Well, the sales aspect, like I've only had 1 weekend of sales right now, but it's like just light year. Like it's for me at least. Like I used to spend like hours at quotes. Like I'm so neurotic and like such a perfectionist when it came to like making sure that the profit was right and like that the jobs were priced out correctly. Like I would take like I had a laser measure to take measurements, and I would like draw out like schematic diagrams of like the houses I was quoting and make sure that all the measurement assumptions were right. Like it would take me forever. So now the quoting is just like so much faster for me personally. Like a lot of people don't do that when they do quotes, so they don't run into the same issues as me.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've gone like totally the other direction. I look at a bedroom, I'm like, all right, 450 square feet of walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, about 12 by 12.
Yeah.
But,
I just want things to be so like accurate, like because like for me, I just picture the conversation I have to have with my painter if like things are misquoted. I like want to be able to like I didn't let you down. I know I tried my absolute hardest to make sure that this would be profitable and like reasonable for you to paint in this amount of time. So that's just given me like a lot of confidence. In terms of structure though, we like wake up like 7:30, go for a run, like get outside, get sunlight. And then I just go to Brian's house, and then we kind of work on the app in the mornings, like when we're not going to be able to do much for the business because we're just starting out like preseason. We have our preseason goal, which is like 39% of our production goal for the season.
What's your total goal?
500K.
Let's go, $500,000.
Yeah. Which is sick. It's exciting.
So you're looking to book like $200K before May? Jeez.
Not before May, no, because we can work into like September,
Right.
October.
Right. So like probably like you'll start producing like mid or end of May, like June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we just kind of market three times a week to make sure we get the amount of leads we need to get, and then we just set up estimates like whenever we need to, and then like at night we work on the app. So just like mornings and evenings, and then when it makes sense to like business hours are usually between like 12 and 8.
Nice. So you guys are just getting going now. Like you just kind of got started.
Yeah.
Let's say you do, you know, get sales on track for, you know, roughly 500K. Like, structures wise, like within the business, like what do you hope? Are you guys hoping to like hire a production manager? Like how many crews are you looking to run? I'd be curious on that side of things. What the plan is.
Yeah. So it's 6 crews is the idea, and we are gonna do just like 3 crews each. So we don't really feel the need to like. And the idea is more that we want to just really focus on making sure that like each of our painters are just really, really like high level painters, that they're really, really skilled.
Will you produce all the jobs you sell and he'll produce all the jobs he'll sell?
Yeah.
So you're basically each doing 250?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Nice.
idea. And then we'll just see how things go. Like I think if I'm doing really, really well with sales, I'm more than happy to take a back seat on production and let Brian like manage more of my stuff and just keep selling. Like we're just gonna see what role he like fits into best, kind of like because he hasn't done any sales yet. It's just been marketing. And the kind of split we've done is like it's 55-45. Aside from the 6% from the sales right now, it's just like until the preseason's over.
55-45 for.
I get like 55% profit. Brian gets 45%.
Sure.
How come you guys decided on that?
But I just have experience running a business for 2 years, so
True.
he's getting like free coaching, kind of.
Yeah.
And like the royalty for me was 30%, but it was 5%. Yeah.
Nice. It sounds like you're gonna have a pretty busy next season of life if you're doing $500,000. That's no easy feat. Plus the app on top of that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on work-life balance?
I like climbing. As long as I have my time to climb, like I'm chilling. I don't know.
Oh, like actual like climbing.
Yeah, like bouldering. That's such a, I guess, a funny way to answer that question. But I think as long as you do things that you enjoy doing, I don't feel out of balance really. I don't get too burnt out. I just gotta make sure I sleep, like eat healthy, and like get outside and do things I enjoy every day, like work out or like climbing or calling people I care about. But other than that, like the app, like I work with my two best friends. It's so fun. Like it's so authentic. There's no there's some level of professionalism obviously, but like it doesn't really feel like work ever. And I love all the stuff I'm doing. Like when I'm going to these meetings and talking to these people, like it just feels so like, holy shit, like these people are taking their time like out of their careers to like give me this advice. And it feels like exciting. I kind of like picture it as like this, like in 10 years it's going to be worth like a crazy amount, and it's like I'm Steve Jobs and like you know, like I think everyone kind of gets into that mindset.
Yeah, I think it's nice to like follow something when you do have that like kind of like end goal vision.
Yeah.
Not that you're only doing it for that, obviously, like you said, you're loving the day-to-day as well, but it also is like nice that like, hey, there is something there that like I'm working towards. It's like the life I want to live. I think something else, like having known you, you're someone that likes to solve problems, and so like the fact that you have such a difficult problem to solve, like building a software app that's like, you know, potentially going to have like a lot of scalability is a super hard problem to solve in so many different areas. There's so many different ways that you have to attack it, and so it's just like a problem that's going to take like a lot of dedication over a lot of years to solve. And I think that, you know, seems like it's something that kind of like gets you out of bed in the morning and like gets you excited instead of being like, oh, this is such a grind. Like even with the painting business, like you're like, I know that I need the cash from this business so that I can do this other thing. So it's like motivating because you're like doing what you enjoy, and it's like an exciting new problem.
And me and Brian talk about like other goals too that fire us up. Like for a while, like I've always been really into cooking, and like me and Brian found this like culinary program in Ireland. It's like on a 100-acre farm. It's all farm to table, and they like teach you to like source your own produce and like grow your own crops, like help with like animals, run a restaurant, and then like all these like cooking skills, and you get like a culinary certification. And we're like, yeah, like in 2 years, like we'll have an app, like the income will be passive, and like it'll be like, obviously we'll still be doing work, right? But like we could maybe like think about like just moving to Ireland and like doing culinary school and like working on the app in our free time, or like I don't know. And painting is so seasonal too, so it's like you can really do like 8 months of like hard work and then do like 4 months of culinary school, or like 4 months of just like you can learn another skill that like is interesting or like exciting, you know?
Yeah, you could.
You could.
I think it depends. Like if you're not looking to like build the biggest painting business you can, then you totally can do that. I think not to random pray, because I don't know, hopefully in 2 years, you know, it's passive income and stuff. I think so many people, like myself included, like think like that. And then the reality is like you dig in, and like, you know, a couple of years go by and there's like all these new sets of challenges, new sets of problems, and you've got all these new goals, and you're like, oh, we could do this and that, and then, you know, there's a good chance that kind of like just like ends up taking priority, or you know, you guys decide, hey, fuck it, let's put this, you know, let's put
and I'd be
this aside.
totally fine with that too. It's just like either outcome, like I'm totally fine with. It's just like it's kind of fun to just talk about like that idea of like not even passive. I guess passive income is not the right, because when I say that, that's not what I picture. What I picture is more just like there's less strings attached to my source of income is what I really mean. It's
like
flexible.
you've got like a machine that's actually building and growing, and then you're still putting inputs in, but the cash flow is not directly tied to like you put in input and you get cash. It's like this thing's going and generating, and then obviously you're putting inputs in to like grow. Like you've got a team in place, you've got a revenue model, you've got, especially like if you guys are like on a recurring model, like X amount per user per month, which I would imagine is probably a pricing model that you guys may end up doing.
That's what we'd
and then I guess it's just like how much, but with a recurring revenue business, it's like, you know, you've got a development team, you've got someone in customer service, you've got, you know, XYZ, and so like obviously you're still going to be probably hosting meetings, and you're still going to be, you know, identifying like big challenges and like putting teams in place, doing like project management of like, hey, this is our new initiative, like you're going to spearhead this, and then you're coaching the person who's like leading the new initiative, the new part of the app build out, the new you know, the new maybe you guys are switching to like a different, you know, sub industry within that, or whatever's going on. But I think I get what you mean. It's like, hey, we just want to build the thing first, we just want to build the business first.
And then even like where I have to be, like I don't know what I want to do with my life in terms of like more personal stuff, like where I want to live. That's a big one. Like, or just like what hobbies I want to have, like how I want to find joy in my life is so like, it's like, it's just up in the air. Like, I don't really know what brings me joy, and like what things, like I mentioned culinary school. Like I know like cooking brings me joy, and like that would be really, really cool to do that. But things like getting to like climb, or like just, I I don't know, there's all these different hobbies I feel like I want to have, like learning to sculpt, just random ass shit, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And sometimes I see my parents and like, my dad just doesn't want to retire. He loves being a doctor. Well, I don't know if he loves it, but he loves making money. And it's just like, for me, it's just like, I want to feel like joy. Like, I think when I'm older, like that's just what I want. And I think that comes with just like setting these big, ridiculous goals and just like getting a piece of it. That's so cool. Cause yeah, like even I'm thinking about the app again now. It's like I just was talking to Brian about like, you know how like in like a Word or like Excel doc, you like click on the thing and like it says like you have your like your document settings and then like templates. Mm-hmm. So you set like the page diameter or like, you know, those like little settings in Excel or whatever it is, like you set the settings for the document. It's like how you want the like paragraph spacing to be and all that stuff. Yeah. But then there's templates. So we've been thinking about like the way Estimate works, and we're saying like eventually like that would be sick to have like templates for like if you're hiring a subcontractor or like, you know, like different things like that where you'd have like different business models applying to like different parts of the quote. Mm-hmm. There's just so many things I want to do with it.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many things.
I have so many ideas too, like integrating like door-to-door systems with like geolocation and like tracking of that and like hours and like number of leads, and you can get so much data on like which time of days are best, which neighborhoods are best, which pitches are best. You can even like count like number of like doors open per hour. Like they could just have a function where they just like tap their phone like each time they hit a door. It's like either not home, not interested, or like a lead, and then if you click lead then you enter their information and it'll track like the time of day they're out and their location automatically. Like I've got so many fucking
I don't do anything like marketing wise. Like I don't know much about like I was never like I think my skill set was just sales. Like that's really mostly what I got out of StudentWorks. So like that's why the app is a sales app. You know?
Makes sense. And I'm sure you guys don't need more ideas. You just need like focus and like implementation, like get this one thing down. And then it's more so like there's like a million ideas for the next step, and it's more so like being able to distinguish like what's the number one idea, and then number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like don't even think about those.
Yeah.
I think one thing that probably the three of us like all relate on, which I'm kind of realizing, is that we're all like pretty committed to like the entrepreneur lifestyle. And like I know there's like a bunch of different reasons why like I'm committed to that for myself. I think part of it is really just like I love solving like difficult problems that have so many different areas, because it's like what the fuck else are you going to be spending your time doing? But I'd love to hear like from both of you guys, like what is it about the lifestyle? Because like we're choosing hard. Like the entrepreneur lifestyle is like way harder, and
I don't think so.
It's easier because you're able to like work harder at it because it brings you like enjoyment, or like why do you say that? Why do you think it's
okay? Well, first, like I disagree. I just jumped the gun and disagreed with you. I have a tendency to do that, but like, what do you mean by like? What did you mean when you said it's harder? Like, is that like a perceived level of risk?
Of success. Is that what you mean?
I think you're just as likely to find success, dude. Like. You can be like, look at all the layoffs of the past 3 years. Like you have no control. You think you have job security, but like you can't control how much money you make. You can't control if you get promoted. Like there's so many things that just like you don't really know.
I think it's like a longer time horizon, and I think there's more unknowns, more stress, more risk. I think ultimately like I have a very strong belief that like I will be successful. I just don't know like how long and how successful. Like I'm super confident that I'll be able to like at very minimum like earn like a really good living, and I also like don't really give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Like I know that I could always go work a sales job and like probably make 6 figures. And like that's just like not something I like care to do.
Yeah.
And like I would rather be like super broke and like lose it all 100 times because I'm like doing something that's like interesting and fun and like exciting. Like that's what's bringing me the pleasure, is like the actual journey itself, not like the outcome. And then obviously having like the biggest upside of any other career path is just like a huge bonus.
Yeah. Well, Phil, you might relate to me on this. Like my parents are both doctors. I said that already. I love saying that. I don't know why, but my parents are doctors. But I just see them and like the way that they, and I don't mean to be like, I don't know how to say this like without seeming really ungrateful or like, it's just like I don't feel that I want what they have, and they made like every decision that they made was the right choice. And I just feel like seeing their lives play out, and they like they're happy, you know, they're happy. But it's just not what I want. And it's not that I like, it's a lovely dream and it's played out for them. Like, it's just like, when I say like joy, it's just like, I want to feel like joy.
I feel like what I'm noticing lately in entrepreneurship is that you could actually kind of do whatever the fuck you want. Like, it's like but just because like 90-something% of people do it, like, it seems totally not like doable. But like, I learned the other day, for like last week, for example, I can go to the bank, I can get an unbacked loan, no collateral, for $50,000. Probably tomorrow I would be approved, and it's 10% interest annually, which gives me a year to make $10,000 or whatever the fuck, $5,000 off that $50K. It's like, who's gonna do that? No one's gonna go do that. Like 0% of people are gonna go do that. But it's like, that's a legitimate option. Like, in entrepreneurship, there's like so many legitimate options of what you can do, and it's like just like unlimited amount of like just stupid risky shit that you can pull.
Yeah.
And it's like, just like not a lot of people. I feel like not a lot of people like see like the unlimited amount of things that you can, like, you just go start building an app.
Yeah.
You can actually just start building an app and like try to sell it.
Mm-hmm. It had started with like a wireframe on like Canva, or like, I think it was Canva, and then like I learned how to use Figma, and it was like, I can't believe it's 3 years later and we're still doing it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, this is insane. Like,
that's
why? Like why are we still doing this? But it's just like, I'm upset. Like literally, we were
imagine what you think about it as soon as you wake up.
Yeah, we had a pitch, like, it was like 3 days from now, we had a pitch, and there was like one little bug with the app, and like I knew that I was supposed to be doing like working on the pitch, like refining this ask, like it was a big, and I could not stop thinking about just like solving this problem. Like, it's just like, I'm obsessed with it. And like eventually, like, Brian was like, dude, like, you gotta stop working on like the app standards. Like, it's been an hour, like, it's fine. Like, but you said you were gonna do it for an hour, and like we're cutting you off. Like, you need to go do the, like, this pitch is more important, right? So it's like, that's fair. But it's just like, I don't know why, I'm just like so just obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm. Like, it feels like you almost like don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is just like what you're doing with your life.
Yeah.
What about you, Phil? What drives you towards entrepreneurship?
To be honest, I was probably programmed as a kid because I just watched Shark Tank all the time. But dude, I don't know. It's just like so much fun. Like, it's just like so much fun. Like, I've had a job, and it's just like, I don't, like, when I'm working for myself, like, I work at like 110% of my potential. And when I'm working for someone else, I work at like 60% of my potential. So I just like sit, like, I just like know that I'm not like doing it all. And like being able to go in entrepreneurship, it's like really like all, like, it's just so much like accountability and so much like everything's on the line. Like, if I fail, then I'm an idiot, like, I'm a loser. But if I succeed, then I'm the GOAT. As opposed to like, oh, like, if I did a good job today looking at these spreadsheets, like the shareholders, it's like, you know, like it's just like everything's on the line, and it's a lot of fun. And then again, like, I think I just really like solving complicated problems. And it's also like, when you solve a complicated problem in entrepreneurship, it's like, it creates a solution. Or it's like, if you go to a job and like you go to a job every day and you see there's a problem and you're like, hey, like, can we do something? It's like, it's gonna take you like 6 months to be able to like put something into motion. But like, Vanessa and I can have a meeting and we can be like, okay, we're implementing this week and we're gonna start on Tuesday. And then like that Tuesday the thing starts.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to fucking wait for anybody. I don't have to like, there's no bureaucracy. It's just like, I want to do this, let's do this works, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I get to move at the rate that I want to move. Like, nothing's stopping me. Like, I don't feel like I'm being dragged down by anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's
What about you?
I think I've explained part of it. I think like a lot of it for me is like building a thing. Like, you were talking about like passive income, and I also don't think that's the right term.
Yeah.
I think, but I think I know what you mean, and like part of that is just like building something. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would always like to, like, you know, build stuff, and I see like building, like, entrepreneurship is like building businesses. And you're just like, you know, putting in the foundation, and then you're putting in, you know, the different people, and you're building the systems, and you're testing, and then, you know, things go wrong and you gotta like figure that out. But then eventually at the end of the day, you actually have like something to show for it. Like, you've like built a thing, and it's like in the world, and it's like, it's got a brand on it, and it's got other people who are, you've got customers who are happy, and you're like, holy fuck, this is so cool. Like, I look at this thing that I've like built. I think that's like a lot of what it is for me.
I agree.
Or you don't.
Yeah,
Or you don't.
And you fail. But then
And
it's
then you
so
learn,
cool. Like
right?
it's so cool to fail because it's such it's such a good like ego check. Like I get like one thing I'm learning this year, like as I'm like becoming a little bit of like a coach to my team,
Right.
is like I'm realizing what a fucking weakness I have in coaching.
Right.
Like I'm looking at, you know, myself as a coach and what my skill set is, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm actually really bad at you know, I handled this conversation like really poorly. And it gets me way more excited than like going and like closing a deal because I'm like, yeah, I'm already good at this, like I know that I'm good at this, and like look, I like, you know, made a couple $1,000, it's like whatever. But then when I see like, oh fuck, like this huge weakness I have, like imagine if I'm already, you know, here and I have this weakness, imagine what's possible now when I can fill in this weakness, and like now what skills do I have, like now what kind of business can I build? And I think that's really exciting because entrepreneurship, just whatever your weaknesses are, they're going to become glaring. Like it's going to be really fucking obvious what your weaknesses are, and like the market will test you. Like there's no hiding behind like a system in someone else's business and making excuses. Like you have no one to fucking blame. That's the part I love. It's like it's all on you. And so when you fuck up, like you said, you're the fucking worst. Like it's all on you, and you can evaluate objectively. Like fuck, how can I do better? But then when you succeed, it's like, man, that's also all me. So it like gives that sense of like, you know, nothing was given. Like I actually fucking earned this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even like just like putting shit together, like literally like the way you said building, like I agree with that, like pulling things out of thin air, like branding, for example, like, you know, all of a sudden you stamp your logo on one thing, and then like you start wearing nice shirts, and then like now you're like talking to clients in a different way, and your contracts look good, and like it all seems like shit. It's like it all seems kind of bullshit. Like, oh, you know, I'm gonna wear that, and then you pull it all together, and then like when it's client facing, like all of a sudden like the client makes a lot of sense, and you're like, fuck, like I pulled that together. Like,
It just starts with like you on like Canva one day, like deciding which font for the logo, and then all of a sudden it's like a real brand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then like it makes sense to the clients, and then someone comes in and it's like, oh, I heard about you guys. You're like, dude, sick. Like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and you start getting inbound leads, people calling you like, hey, like, can you do this for me? I'm like, shit. Like, yes, I can. Like that's And then when it starts feeling real, it's like so cool. Because like eventually, like at one point, you're like, this does not make any sense. This is not a business, and then all of a sudden, like, starts feeling like real, and then like the world starts validating you, and it's really really cool.
Dude,
It's
I
such a
remember.
good feeling.
I remember my first breakout room. You know, they teach that like pergola or like, no, it's a bungalow. They teach you to do estimating.
Yeah.
I was in a breakout room with Pat, and I said, "Why don't you guys have an app for this?" And he was like, "That's silly." Like he kind of laughed it off.
One student work.
Yeah, literally like first January training, and then I literally said that to him, like this is like one of the first things I said in our pitch, and it's like, and now I'm like in a meeting with Helen Thompson, like this is insane to me, like I'm so thankful to be here, guys, like thank you for listening to this pitch, like I'm really excited to tell you more about it. But it's just like it's so fucking surreal.
Yeah,
to me.
you just do things for like 6 months, 2-3 years straight, and then all of a sudden, like something that you like thought like is now like you look around you and you're like, shit, like I've got a goal wall, like I've got fucking, there's like all this shit around me. It's like I'm actually running a business. Like
I think a big part of it too for me is like people, like so many people tell me I can't do things, and I love like doing things that I shouldn't be doing. Like for whatever it is, like no, you can't make it. Like Donal, this is a waste of your time. Like stop doing this. Like I'm just like I'm breaking the rules. Like, it's like oops, like I keep doing it. Like fuck it. Yeah. And I love that feeling.
I love the freedom of it. Like I think with Student Works, it's cool because you're like halfway between like a manager and like an entrepreneur.
Right.
Where it's like they give you the systems, they like give you the structure, but it's not really like mandated that you like follow it. Like I know for myself, like Student Works systems are obviously great, and like same thing. Like on basically the first day, I was like, wait, I don't really understand like the quoting system. Like why are we like separating prep and then painting? Why don't we just do like an item with like prep and painting and like keep it like more simple like that? Like wouldn't that just make sense? And they're like, no, the systems work. Everyone else does it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then here I am like a year later, and I'm running my own business. Obviously, still partnered with Student Works, and I just have my own quoting system, like my own estimate sheets. And it's cool to have that like freedom to be able to, you know, be the final decision maker instead of like working for someone else where it's like, you know, it depends on obviously who you're working for, right? Because obviously you're kind of in a way like always working for your customers,
Right.
and you're probably always going to have like business partners. You're kind of always working for your employees. So it's not like black and white, like employee versus like entrepreneur. I think it's like more of like a spectrum of like how much freedom you have, and I think all of us prefer like more freedom and flexibility, and we're okay with taking the risk and having the downside, but also like getting the upside.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I just want to be happy, and like this is what makes me happy. You know, like that feeling of just joy. that's what I was saying before, is like my parents did everything right. They made every correct decision. They went to med school, like they did everything right. And like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, you call it joy, I probably call it like fulfillment, but I think we're talking about the same thing. Like, do you feel that right now in your day to day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing, is like, you can't wait for that to happen. Right? Like, you can't wait for, like, oh, like once I graduate, once I get this engineering job, like once I get a girlfriend, it's just like, nah. Like, you gotta just, you should feel that way. Like, you should find a way to feel that way every day somehow. I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm starting to feel that way with my business. The other thing that's like I love about entrepreneurship is that like you're just like allowed to fail. Like if you, for example, like people would like think like, oh, I can't go do this. Like if I start a business, what if it fails? It's like, what if I like take out a loan and then it's like, if I fucks it up, it's like, great. Now you're $50,000 in debt.
How are you gonna get out of it?
Now how are you gonna, how are you gonna get out of it? It's like, you're still alive.
Yeah.
You just have $50,000. Now you're just playing a different game. Like you're just like,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, it's like, or like, oh, you crashed your car, like, fuck, like, yeah, you crashed your car, okay, now you just have to live life with a crashed car. It's like, how do you live differently with a crashed car? It's like, and then just like looking at it through that, and I'm just like, okay, this is like what I've been given, and like, what's the best possible outcome? How can I move towards it? And I think people are always like trying to optimize for safety, but like when you stop optimizing for safety, you start optimizing for fun. That shit, all of a sudden, like, that's when it's like, like, you know, like, I'm trying to optimize for like, I'm always trying to like risk optimize, like give me the most fucking risk possible. Let me see what I can do with it. And if I fail, then it's like, all right, I guess I'm moving back to mom's house and I'm going to work as a carpenter until my debt's paid off.
Do you feel like you always had that mindset, or do you think that's like kind of a muscle that you've like trained?
I think I probably started off as that, but then like as I see people like going down the career path, I'm like as I see like people going down like the, okay, like I'm gonna work my 9 to 5, oh, I'm gonna make 80K this year. It's like, I'm more like, I want to lose 80K this year. It's like, I try to like divert myself like the most possible from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What my therapist would call an autonomy struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also relate to like kind of like almost like enjoying breaking the rules. Like I hate being told what to do, and I think that's probably something that's common amongst the three of us, and it's probably something that's very common among people who choose to go down this route. It's like I almost like if someone tells me to do something, I'm almost like more likely to like not do that thing because they told me to. Like you were saying, like I love when people tell me I can't do something. It's funny, like when I came into Student Works, I was like, I'm gonna break the rookie record, I'm gonna run 500K. People were like, yeah, no you won't. Like everyone says that, like, you know, you can't do that. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I did it. And then this year I'm like, all right, I'm gonna break the vet record, I'm gonna run 1 million. And everyone's like, yeah, you'll do that. And I'm just like, oh no. Fuck. And it's like now like all the pressure's off. It's just like a different kind of pressure.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because like where we are at in the year right now, like we're off trend for it. Because I think we've been like building a lot, like we're getting the foundation super set. And I still think like we can hit the goal, but now everyone else is like seeing us like, you know, not top of the leaderboard, and they're like, oh, he won't hit it, like he's already failed, and now it's like getting me more fired up. And
That's
just
sad.
just watch these crazy weeks.
It's so funny how like there's a whole like culture around like, I'm not in Student Works anymore, so when I'm running my business and it's like obviously there's still pressure to do sales and stuff like that, but we were working on an app, we have a pitch, like things come up. So, and like the app does take priority for me. Like at the end of the day, my business is just going to be a source of income. And in my head, I'm like, if I only make like $70,000, $60,000, which is way easier to do because I don't have a royalty to pay.
$70,000 as an entrepreneur, like you're paying like way less tax. Like that's like,
You guys incorporated?
It's not a bad.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not a bad.
There's two.
That's
There's the business.
Do you run them both through a holdco?
No, should I? I don't know what that is.
There's like one company that gets the income from both.
True. No, I don't know.
I don't think
we'll look into that. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, well with Student Works, it's like I remember being super stressed out the other week, like because I'm like, guys, like it's March, like we got to start production by May 1st, and I'm like, wait, like this is the rest of my fucking life, like I don't actually have, like I'm not going back to school, like but like with Student Works, people like look at there's this whole idea of like where you should be at by this point in the season, because it's like so year after year, like this is what happens, and it's like we ran a business and we didn't start till like June, and like I feel like that's pretty unheard of. Like Devin was like, dude, like you're probably not gonna, and then I just sold 40K in 1 week. I was like,
you're like, all right, we have this.
we have the minimum to stay in the program. but it's just like, yeah, it's so interesting that there's so much like structure and like
I think one thing though, just to like
play the devil's advocate, or not even like, I don't think you're disagreeing with this, but just like an interesting lens that I do think of when it comes to student works is like those high pressure points and like the comparison to others, and like these are like the timelines. I think there also probably is an element where that will like push you to do better, because there's like no excuses.
there is.
Like there's also a chance, because you're not in that community and you have this other app to work on, that you're gonna like start creating these stories of like why it's okay that you didn't hit your sales goal this week and why XYZ. Whereas like when you have a business coach and you have a team of people who are also going towards their goals, and you've got all these metrics and you've got, you know, these things in place, it's like I think it is just easier to push yourself and like see what's really possible. Like I think that's probably a piece of the puzzle as well.
No, I totally agree. I just mean, I think it's funny that like nobody's ran $1 million business in student works. Have they? Has Justin?
Barely.
Justin technically did 997 on Simon. We had him on last week. He did 1.005 or whatever.
Yeah.
He did over $1 million.
Yeah.
He was the first. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like their program isn't built for $1 million business. So like, of course, like you're gonna look at the leaderboards and see that someone's not like, they're not doing things the way that you're being told to do things.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, coaches run $1 million businesses all the time.
yeah.
Like every business coach runs like a 1 to 3 or $4 million kind of business, but it's like it's different. It's interesting looking at the lens of like a coach and like, are they running the business, or is like each people running the business? Because it's kind of half between like being a manager, where like your coach, but it is also like a coach. It's not really a manager, because you do at the end of the day have autonomy, but they're also like giving you the structures and the systems and the tools and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a halfway ground, which is that's why they call it the student works management program.
Well, they used to call it
district
coaches,
manager.
managers,
Yeah. But I think business coach sounds better.
Yeah, for
It's,
sure.
Like, who wants a manager? I don't want a manager. I want a coach, though.
Yeah.
Professional athletes have coaches. Successful entrepreneurs have coaches. They don't have managers.
Yeah. I like DM as like dungeon master.
You play Dungeons and Dragons?
I have twice,
Nice.
but Brian made that joke with on our pitch too. He just said it like impromptu. He's like, in the 2 DMs here, dungeon master. I just started laughing so hard. I was like, what?
The DMs.
Yeah. But
you-
even sorry.
I'm curious, like, what your several year plan is. Like, are you hoping to like run this painting business like
2 years.
2 years?
This season, next season for the
You want to
season.
sell it, or are you just doing it for income?
I don't know how to sell a painting business, but if I
Look
could,
at this guy, that's all
I'd love to.
all day long.
I don't know. I've never sold a painting business either. But
Yeah.
I've definitely read a couple books about it.
yeah.
If that means anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, like, there's this one guy in Toronto that I know who like runs a $2 million, $3 million like operation like in revenue every year.
Painting?
Yeah,
What's his name?
I don't remember. I'll find that out. For I was gonna introduce him to you when you started your business last year. I kept saying like, oh, like you should talk to him if you want to do like a big.
Mm-hmm.
But I know he's looking to sell his business, but I don't know what that like is. That I don't know what that looks like. Yeah, like is that just like a transfer of like the team and employees and like equipment?
Yeah, I think it depends
Contracts
on
and
like
stuff?
what size and what scale you're
Right.
looking to sell. Like on average in like the lower market like this in contracting, you're gonna get like 2 to like 3.5 times profit. So basically, like whatever profit you make, you'll be able to sell your business roughly like, let's say 3 times that.
Really?
So if you do 200K profit, your business is worth like roughly 600K. But you would also definitely need to have like certain like systems and like structures in place. Like that's also if you're like, I would argue that if you're getting all outbound leads yourself from door-to-door marketing, that you
That's
would not be
not worth
valued at 3x. If you had like inbound leads coming in through like, you know, digital marketing campaigns, and you had like a head of marketing who was like putting those campaigns in, then you had like, you know, a caller who's like setting
Right.
appointments, and you had like 2 or 3 closers who are closing appointments, and you had, you know, a production manager or 2. Like if you actually have like a business and it's
Yeah.
not just like you making the cash flow, then, you know, that's probably when you get like 3 times earnings. But I would say even still, there's always people looking to acquire like customer lists. So like if you have a client list that's like pretty big and you've got like, you know, some employees and things like that, like you can still probably sell your business. You probably just won't get 3 times profit. You probably get like one maybe 2 times profit.
Yeah. Justin said he bought like a painting business for like 40K. And it was just like basically a client list that he bought off someone. The guy that we had on last week.
Wow.
So it's like it's gonna be worth something. You can also like optimize for making your business sellable.
Yeah.
Like if you start now thinking about how can I make my business sellable, then like you'll be able to sell it for a lot more.
You might as well if you're working for 2 years.
That's what we're
You
thinking.
might as well
We were
go
just gonna
something
do 1
sellable.
year. We were gonna do 1 year and then like pay Josh hopefully, and then just stick with the app after that. But then now I think
Will
like if
your
we're
app
gonna
be like break even and like profiting within a year?
it depends on what happens.
I guess it depends, because you could also like get like a certain number of clients, and then once you have that recurring revenue, you could use that to like raise funds a lot more easily
Yeah.
and like scale and grow. And like at that point, like you might want to just be like full time within the app, as opposed to like taking like half your time out, because then you'll just grow at half the speed,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like once this thing's like proven and you're doing it, and you've got the initial 100 or couple hundred K that you need to fund it.
Yeah. We're not sure if like the VC stuff, like we're just talking to people about like that's what I'm trying to frame these conversations as with these VC people. It's not necessarily like there's no like real ask attached to it. It's more like, what would this look like if we were to go down this route? Because like we don't know like pre-sale how like to value our company, and like how that conversation goes yet. So it's like, how much equity would we be giving up?
Would you want to give up equity?
Maybe. If there was a way to give up equity and be able to do it full time for like 2 years with Josh.
Right now, would you give up 10% equity for like, let's say 250K?
Yeah.
What about for 100K?
No.
What about no? Okay. So value your business at over $1 million.
I think it's gonna be worth that much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting with businesses like that. It's like
I for
I
sure
all
give
the
away
way
10% for 100K right now.
of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your business like isn't quite like as scalable, I would say.
Like the amount of, we've had people tell us that like the product that we've built would be worth, like if you were to go to someone else and like hire a company to do it, I've gotten quotes for like $300,000. The Vietnamese can do it for 20K, I guess,
Yeah.
but fuck, like, yeah. So it's like, that's like a big number. You know what I mean? It's not like this is a pipe dream. I feel like in the conversations I'm having, like now when I showed that guy our pitch deck like last week, this is a guy who has 6,000 employees and he's the CEO of a company. I didn't even think about that. I was just meeting him for breakfast, and he paid for my breakfast, which was sick. Like free breakfast. And then I insisted, I was like, okay, well next time like I'll pay for your breakfast, which was cool. So now we're gonna meet again. But yeah, it just felt like really casual and like really normal, and I just realized like how validating that was. That like, this is what I'm doing. Like there was no part, like when I was first talking to these people, it was like they'd rapid fire questions at me. Yeah, I wouldn't have answers. Like I didn't know what the fuck. Like, and these people that I would talk to were just like other entrepreneurs who had like products for their own, and they were like kind of testing me out and stuff. But now like this guy's legit. Like he's a legit guy, and he's like, he wants, like I didn't follow up with him. He emailed me back and he was like, I want to like, you know, put you guys in front of people who do this, like know this stuff and like do this stuff. And I was like, that's so like, not in terms of like money or like getting money or generating, but just that like, I just feel like the idea is there and like the product is there, and that's like valid, that like I'm actually doing this. It's not just like I say I'm an entrepreneur. It's like you know, like I have an idea.
Yeah,
and
sometimes it
people
feels
see value
that.
in it.
Sometimes it doesn't feel real, and then sometimes it does feel real. Depending on what business you're into.
Yeah.
Sure, it feels real for you all the fucking time because you're like just like constantly doing this shit. But sometimes like, I don't know, like sometimes when you're like kind of pre-sale, it's like, is all the work that I'm doing.
Like, am I an entrepreneur or am I just unemployed?
I love telling people I'm unemployed. I think it's so funny. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I don't have a job. Like, I don't do anything. And then it kind of hits them with like the, well, I have an app. And they're like, okay, fuck you. Like, what? So I kind of do that little game. But yeah, no, it's cool. Even like we were talking about like breaking the rules a little bit earlier, just like how, like I liked what you said, Phil, about just like playing a different game. It made me think of when I was pitching and like Helen was really trying to like hammer in on like, okay, like how much, like what is the number? Like what are you guys looking for? And like when talking to Brian and Josh before, I was like, guys, like we can't ask for more than 30K from them. Like there's just no way they're going to go for more. And Brian and Josh are both like, no, like minimum we're asking for is $100,000. So like we just had to find a way to make like, and then that did make sense, like based on the like the hour savings that I talked about, and like the just like percentages, and like that was a reasonable amount of money to ask for. And we talked to other people and they said like, yeah, that's reasonable. But I just remember saying it to her and just like I was like, oh fuck, like this is it, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this number and like we're gonna see what happens. Like
Yeah.
I have no clue what like after this point it's like I just have to rely on like the communication skills that I've built for 2 years. Like I
Yeah.
have no idea. But this is the most nervous I've ever been. Like it was just like $100,000, and I just was quiet.
It just go well.
Yeah.
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 Well, maybe it's for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now it's opening up other avenues, just like, what else is out there. Because you're not going to give up on the product just because like one customer,
No.
said no.
No. Well, they didn't say no. They've agreed to like what we're talking about right now is, they just didn't like our pricing model, and they Colin said even if I was gonna write you a check for $100,000, it wouldn't be today. It wouldn't be like you would have to prove like we'd have to set some performance metrics. So it wasn't actually a no. She also said like I don't want you guys to walk away from this feeling like upset or like bummed out. Like this is a learning experience on both ends. Like, and then they went and talked to like a third party and stuff like that, which is like whatever. But then I got on the phone with Devin like a couple days ago and was just saying like, okay, like how long is it gonna take for them to develop that product? So it's like 2 years before that CRM is ready. So I'm like, okay, awesome. Like in the meantime, like you guys should totally test this out. So we're talking about like in the 2 years before they have something, like how much would they pay? I think the camera just turned off.
True. Yeah.
It's like how much would they
Well,
pay?
it's battery if the screen goes black.
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
not. Maybe
shit.
it's just 30 minutes.
Cool. But we were just talking about like like how much would they pay? Like, and that's testing, right? It's mutually beneficial. So it's like how much would you guys pay to just, for a year, for 2 years? Like, so that's kind of what we're figuring out is like trying to get them to pay a flat rate and then reoccurring monthly, like very, very cheap. We're talking like $10 a month per user and like a couple $1,000s. So
Yeah,
it's
well, I
like,
mean that would make sense just for you guys to get testing through.
yeah.
Like imagine it'd be to your benefit if like you even have like 200 operators using it for free.
Yeah. Well, part of me is just hoping that they'll deal with these like third party, like Dan was saying, it's like, oh, like it's this company, like only 20 people have his email and they have like 500 engineers and he says it'll take 2 years. And I'm just like, well, like 500 people who know nothing about painting and like
Yeah.
that doesn't like,
They're
just
just
because
gonna
there's
build something
500
that-
people, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like, I'm hoping that like in that time they'll kind of realize like working with them and dealing with them is like there's a communication barrier. There's like just there. I'm hoping the issues will come up and that they'll also realize that like even if they buy this product, like they're still gonna have to test it with like that new feature they added for painter hours a couple years ago. It's like they built out the feature, but they still have to test it. So it's like even if they say 2 years until it's ready, it's like, okay, then how long until it's actually usable? And right now we have something that's ready to use right now, and it's not going to cost you any of your time. It's not going to cost you and it's not static. So like our app is something that we're committed to doing for the next 10 years, right? If you're going to put $300,000 into a CRM and like one part of that's going to be an estimating app, but it's never going to improve, like how much is it worth to you guys to have something that's like you're going to pay now, you're going to pay $60,000 for it, and in 10 years it's going to be just as good, if not better, and it's going to be current. So it's not like Simon where it's like, oh, 5 years from now like it doesn't work anymore. It's like we're going to keep updating it. So I think they'll come back around.
Donal, if you had to make $1 million
Mhm.
in 3 years,
Mhm.
what would you do?
I think that I'm gonna get canceled for saying this. I feel like I'd go like Tate mode. Like you'd seduce someone to like take feet pics and like start like an OnlyFans. Like,
Dude, that's the wildest answer we've had so
Really?
far.
I think that's what I would do is I would like seduce women to like build it like basically like a pimp, but for like feet pics. I feel like that's the most scalable.
Fair.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Like, yeah, I could see that right
Throw
here.
all your
That's just the
interests
first
out
thing
the
that
window.
pops
And
in my
like,
head.
I need my money, selfie pics.
I guess 3 years is a long time though. Let me think of a better answer.
How many feet pics would you need per month? And what would the cost be?
I just feel like the way to get money is to get like really, really, really rich people to pay for your product. Like people who are really wealthy to buy things. And like, I just feel like there's so much like addiction and like I watched Molly's game the other day and she set up that like poker game and just like was making tons of money because she was able to like get these high ticket clients into like a room and they'd like play poker, right? And like the way she did it was by like using these bottle girls to essentially like tip them off and she'd give them like a royalty. So like maybe seduce was the wrong word, but like basically work with like high profile women to like somehow meet like business people's needs in some kind of way. But like, I don't know if feet pics is the right avenue. But like that's kind of what I was thinking of. The other thing I was thinking of is like I have a deviated septum. I don't know if you guys struggle with that issue. And like nasal strips, like breathe right ones, like the ones that Hormozy wears, like they only really like they pull out, but they don't really work. And if there was a nasal strip that like pulled your nose up, like it's insane. Like sometimes I just do that to like, and it like the way that I can breathe in through my nose. And I don't even know if that product exists, but like, wow, it's crazy.
It does let a lot of air in. Looks
Some kind of
Imagine you like sit next to Hormozy instead of the nose strip. You come in with like this on every video, become a fucking business influencer.
I don't know how you said 1 million or 3 million? 3 million, 1 million in 3 years.
So fast in the few pics.
Yeah, you had that prepared.
But I told you how I like got to the that's like what I was thinking of is because I recently watched Molly's game and like
rich people.
Yeah, rich people. Like how do you
Charging rich people for sure. That's.
I mean, it would be like a legitimate business model, like numbers wise, but it's like who the fuck is gonna do that? And like, how are you gonna get out of bed every day and work 12 hours on like marketing and selling your like feet pics and like acquiring new like employees and like fucking like hiring like an editor and like hiring like someone to write the copy on like that shit. Like that's just like, dude, no one, like who the fuck's gonna do that?
Yeah. You pay them enough. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was also like I did aeroponic farming at Queens and that was pretty cool. I feel like that's kind of like something that's emerging now, like in the kind of space of like everyone wants these like organic, like no hormone, like above men and all that stuff. So like at home aeroponic farming, like some way of like, I think there's like probably some products out there. I haven't looked into it. But I feel like that would be a pretty viable product idea of just like helping people grow.
You don't think you could get estimate to like a couple $100,000 ARR and sell it for like 5x?
Yeah.
Within 3 years.
Yeah, I probably could.
Because it's like what kind? So like I know you obviously have your meeting for like your pricing, but just like rough numbers, like what do you think you would charge? Like $20 per user per month?
No.
More?
Yeah.
Like $100 per user per month?
There's another app out there called Paint Scout that does I think it's worse. And they are like they've just been doing it for like 2 years longer than us and have like 3 developers and definitely raised some funding.
That's like 3 people you need to kill to ruin that business.
This guy's talking about taking on a risk. He's like, yeah.
Like roughly, what are you thinking?
They charge $100
Per month? Per user, or is it like per company and then each user's like an additional like 20?
Per user. So like I'm assuming that means like if you have multiple sales reps, but then there's also like a different, like for enterprise it's like we'll see, like call us and figure it out.
Yeah, and you do like a custom pricing model. So like
But
let's say each company has on average like maybe like 3 sales reps, right? So that's like almost like $4,000 a year. And so if you had like 100 companies, that's like $400,000 a year, and you could for sure sell that. If you have $400,000 a year of recurring revenue coming
for
in
a digital product.
yeah, for a digital product that is like proven in like in an industry like that, it's not like there's like that much risk of like people taking over.
For that.
I mean, it depends on like your profitability, but I would imagine like pretty high. Like I don't know, probably 8x revenue or profit. Yeah, you could probably get 8x profit, probably more.
More, yeah.
Probably you could probably get like 5+ on revenue.
Jeez.
Yeah, I would guess. I don't know. I'm not a fucking VC. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I'm not an M&A master. But if I had to guess, I don't know. Probably depends on a lot of factors, but yeah.
I mean, there's 3 of us too, though, so that wouldn't be.
Is your
really
product ready to sell, like, to a client?
Mm-hmm.
What's your sales funnel?
I don't know how to do that.
They don't even know their pricing model yet. They don't really have a sales funnel.
What is a sales funnel?
Just like
Like how do you
get lead.
generate your leads?
Yeah.
Like the interested companies. Like what does your marketing look like? And then
True.
what's your like follow up?
Have you guys done any marketing yet? Like, have you like?
No, it was really just like, honestly, we were just riding on like, StudentWorks is 180 people. Then they have StudentWorks West, and if their product works for them, like they're gonna know people in the States.
Have you cold called anybody?
No.
True.
But like
I probably would
that's
spend
where I am
money
right
after
now,
this.
where it's like I'm kind of just like making sure that Josh and Brian are like still committed. So we're looking into the VC route of like, like how could we pay Josh for another year to make sure that like once we get people testing it, that like we have a responsive dev team that can like actually address issues. So we want to make sure that that's in place, and then
You could make money while testing though.
Yeah,
you
you
could just
can make
start
money.
selling users.
Yeah, just start selling users.
Like if it works right now, you could just like, whatever price you think you could sell it for, cut that in half.
You're in a
and start
great
selling it.
you're in a great market because your audience is super fucking targetable because hopefully they would all have some sort of online presence,
You could also
right?
not go to StudentWorks like head. You could also just like go to different operators, go to other business people.
But I'm just saying like going across the world in the U.S. and in Canada, there's probably I don't know like 10,000 painting companies.
I think our issue is we're super product focused. So it's like we just want it to be perfect before anybody
Sure.
uses it. We want to make sure that like
Well, you kind of have like 3 product people in a way.
Yeah. But if you just start calling a painting company, hey, my name is Donal, we run an app that, it lets you estimate and then it automatically creates like a work order foam and automatically creates a contract for clients. We're just testing right now, so we're offering it for 50% off. I was wondering if you want to hop on a call so that, you're not like having so much trouble booking quotes anymore or something like that. Like, yeah, sure. And then just go on a Zoom call, just say a random ass price, see if he fucking closes.
yeah.
If he doesn't close, say like, 70% of the price to the next guy, see if he closes. Like,
Yeah. I know.
like,
that's what I've been telling Josh and Brian, but they're just like, we really want to make sure that it's like, we want to see where it can go with StudentWorks first. Like we're kind of waiting on them a little
Does
bit.
that make sense?
Probably
Like, would
not.
you be exclusive if you went with StudentWorks?
No.
So then, do both?
Yeah.
If it's your own app and you're just looking at getting customers,
Like,
So
do
you
you
can
think it's
license it
sellable
then?
right now? Like, do you think you could sell it to someone for like $100 a month?
No. Because it doesn't do payment. Like there's a lot of like, just in terms of the competitive analysis we did with like the payment.
well, you just do it for $10 a month then.
Yeah.
People would buy it. $10, dude. If someone's running a fucking $1 million painting company, are they gonna try some shit for 10? Well, then I guess it's like, it's a risk to their system. So you'd obviously have to like convince them that it works, and it would have to actually provide some value. But yeah, I don't see why.
Yeah, fucking $1 million. Dude, just do like $100,000 painting company, like some like Turkish guy, like, hey bro, like how do you usually estimate? Oh, I look and I save X amount of money. Like, okay, like this will make you more profit. Like, use this, like whatever. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could know what your pitch would be better than anybody else, but
You guys are hyping me up.
go like sell, bro. Sell.
It's just
that's
it's just
the
'cause
whole game,
Brian
right?
and Josh are like very like not like they're like we don't want to like start putting it out there before it's ready. And I'm like, guys, that's
That
just
doesn't make
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense because it's gonna
It's the
it's
opposite of,
never
like,
gonna be
building a
ready.
startup, right?
yeah.
It's never gonna be ready. It's
never
never
gonna
gonna.
be
There's no
ready.
final product. You're always iterating.
Yeah.
And the fastest way to iterate is by getting
Getting
money
money.
and getting users. So like, you might as well test it, get some users, get people using the app, and then fucking
And if you're
Yeah,
if you're getting them to pay for $10, if the app is like if you literally like mail them like a pile of dog shit, like in the mail, like you literally like take $10, mail them a pile of dog shit in the mail, like they can't be that mad. It's like $10, like
Yeah, that's true. That's such a good point.
they'd be like, oh fuck these guys, they mailed me dog shit. It's like, okay, like whatever.
I mean, maybe there's like one or two like little final kind of like tweaks, but it might be helpful for you to like set a date and be like, okay, we're gonna onboard our first customer, or at least start marketing the product to get customers on like this date, and set it like something that's like kind of like urgent, like 2 to 4 weeks out, and then just be like,
Yeah.
boys, make sure the product's at least somewhat ready.
Well, if we
Because I'm
sold-
getting customers.
if
Just
we
be like,
sold
dude, I'm the
to
business guy. I'm
StudentWorks-
getting customers in 3 weeks. So hopefully we got something ready because I'm making cold calls
Yeah.
and I'm closing
Yeah.
someone 3 weeks from now.
And I would, like, I'm super confident that I'd be able to sell the, like, I know that if we were selling to operators, it would have been easy.
Dude, I'm sure you have so much conviction too at this point.
Compelling story too.
Yeah.
Like you had the problem yourself, and then you solved the problem. You've got a sick co-founding team. You guys have built a product that actually works. It looks good. It functions great. It actually provides a genuine increase in revenue and profit to the business as well as time savings.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's fucking sick. Go sell it.
Go sell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't matter if you sell it. It doesn't have to be profitable yet either. You just have to have some sales. Like if you went and sold it for like $1, it's like if you had 100 people that you sold for $1, I'm sure that would be like.
Yeah, you could say, as you're pitching to the VCs, you could be like, oh, we have 100 users.
Yeah.
I think we were just so bottlenecked by the idea of like doing it with StudentWorks for a while
Yeah.
that we were like, that's 180 people. Like even at $10 a person, it's like so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like $90,000 potentially. Like that's sick. So now that they've said no, we're kind of like looking into the VC thing, but
I think,
How long ago was that?
Just
how's
kinda
that
do
math on that? At $10 a user? 180 users?
$10 a month.
Yeah, that's like 20K. That's not 90K.
It was different. It was probably a different number before then that we were thinking of charging. Like I think maybe it was closer to $60 a month then maybe.
Yeah, like 30 or 40 bucks a
Yeah,
month.
and I'm using the new numbers that I sent to Devin now.
I think like $100
I'm not good at math.
per company per month, and then
Or
plus
higher
like
than
$20 per additional user. Like you probably want like the fee, potentially with like an onboarding fee. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you could waive the onboarding fee to have like a quick close on like the closing call. Like you could
Yeah.
offer like, hey, just to save everybody some time, we can get the onboarding set up on the first call. I'll actually waive the $250 onboarding fee for you if you're ready to make a decision on the day. And then you close them. It's like whatever, $100 per business per month, and then plus $20 per additional user. I think that would be like roughly a pricing model that like
And
for
it
me,
also
in running a
doesn't
business-
matter. Like if you want to run this into a $2 million thing, like the first like 100 users, like the price is probably going to be different than the like next 1,000.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, like you could go try to sell it for $2,000 and like
It's also so much fucking easier to sell like B2B
Yeah.
because like businesses are
have
like
money.
they have money that they're actively investing in their business, and if you can have something that even has like a slight chance of a slight increase, again, you're talking like companies that are doing like hundreds of thousands like profit. It's like, what the fuck is $100 per month to try something out that might increase their profits a lot, especially if there's like not really a lot of competitors. Like I know there's like Estimate Rocket. I don't know if that's a competitor. You talked about the other one. Like I'm sure there's other apps out there, but I've used your app. It fucking works. It looks good. It functions great. It spits out the right price. Like especially last time I tested it, I don't think you guys had fully integrated the production planner, like work order aspect. So like once that is like fully implemented,
done.
then like dude, I'll buy it.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Yeah. We'd definitely love to have you as a user. Just like get that out of the
Yeah.
gate. Just fucking do it.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. It's just we were just waiting for like the pitch we had with StudentWorks was like 2 weeks ago, and they just got back to us like what day is today? Thursday? On Monday about the Vietnamese thing.
Gotcha, yeah.
So that was Monday, and today at 3:00 I'm meeting about our pricing model.
Yeah.
So it's like we've been so bottled about the product for it was 3 years. 3 years ago I had the idea, and then like I said, like 6 months ago is probably when like Josh was like, I want to do this full time. Brian just quit his job, I guess a month and a half ago now. So it's like the pieces have been finally like kind of falling into place. And now you guys are just talking to me, and I'm like,
Well, bro, I
it's
just
like
This is the conversation me and Phil were having about your business.
Yeah.
About like just like get the sales funnel, like get people in, like get the money, get test it, and like from the sounds of it, things have been like you followed that route. You're now closing 2-3 people every single week consistently, and you're like looking to grow and scale.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like just, dude, like, yeah. One of my biggest takeaways when we went to Las Vegas was like, there's idiots who are selling more of a worse product for more money than you.
who?
A bunch of thousands of people have like a digital product that they're selling online that probably sucks. That like sucks compared to your product, and they're
Yeah.
selling it for way more money than your product, and they're able to sell it.
It's good to be product focused though. I think the scalability of that, like being the way you guys are looking at it, I think is great. And then I think also just like getting a little like.
But no, you're
fire
right.
in
Like
your ass.
we need the kick. I think that's what kind of really spoke to me when you said like the like fastest ways for us to grow the product at this point are users. Like I fully believe that. And like if I'm Josh and I'm not going to be working on these like little animations and shit. It's like we're not going to be creating problems and like fixing. It's like, this is a problem that a user has, right? So that really jumped out at me. I was like, fuck yeah, like we should just get people using this thing consistently, and then like
Go to paint stores, put up posters at the paint. Hey Sherman, can we put up a poster on outside of your store? Like, fuck estimating, like, does your car look like this? And it's like one of the vans with like a bunch of like papers and shit at the front of it. Like, you know those contracting vans you see? Like, wow, that guy's a buck teeth. Just like so many papers. Like, does your van look like this? Like, do it on an app. Like, estimate on an app.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you can find clients like in a million different ways.
Yeah.
And one of the ways it's going to work, and then one of the ways the customer acquisition cost is going to be less than the cost of fulfillment, and then boom, you got a business.
How do you guys learn about this stuff? Do you like read books and like listen to podcasts?
Just fuck around until it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, books, podcasts. Like I'm sure you listen to a lot of content.
Yeah.
So we actually also just went to a scaling conference in LA with Alex Hormozy, acquisition.com. So that's also like partially why it's top of mind for us.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm like building like a sellable business and like what is the bottleneck in your sales funnel and like LTV to CAC ratio, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what they were asking me about.
Yeah.
Like during our pitch, they asked me.
Bro, you should go to the conference. It'd be sick. You get so much value from it.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
How much was it?
Nah, that's a lot now.
It's like I think they're raising it each time. They're kind of like beta testing it, I think, but I think it's like 5K.
USD.
Damn.
Yeah.
How much was it when you guys went?
3.
It was 3.
That's still a lot of money.
Is it 5K USD now? True.
I would totally.
So it'd be like 8K, including flights, all in.
Yeah.
Conversion, hotel, everything.
That's really cool
It's
though.
so worth it though. It's so worth it. Just go book like. Well, honestly, your profit margins are way higher now that you don't have a royalty.
Yeah.
So you could go book like 16K and then just afford it. You probably make 50% profit now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. That's so true. Yeah. Fuck.
16K. That's like a week of sales.
Yeah.
You'll sell jobs for 1 week and then you can afford it there.
Yeah.
It'd be sick. You'd love it. You'd love it.
Damn.
And everybody in the room is also like an entrepreneur. So like the community people you
the vibes
meet
are crazy,
is
yeah.
like super sick. It's like, you know, when you go into StudentWorks for the first time and you're like, oh shit, here's all these other people that also like entrepreneurship. They
Yeah.
also have this mindset. They also want to, you know, do all this stuff. It's like that, but like even more.
Yeah, it's like,
Wow.
It's like that, but like actual like entrepreneurs, not like
managers.
students
Yeah.
who are like managers.
Damn.
Bro, we're selling everyone on the
Yeah.
conference. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
telling everyone. We told Cam, I think the same thing. Justin's already going. Our last two
Sick.
guests. But
Wow.
yeah.
He's already been, or he's going? He's already signed up.
Scheduled
That's
up.
going,
Yeah. And I was trying to close my other boy, Spencer, on it as well.
True. I was trying to get Justin on the app, but he won't respond to my texts anymore. Like he was down like 6 months ago, and then I texted him like, I think like after the Vietnamese thing, I was like, oh, also in the pitch, Helen was like, do you guys have any like other methods of distribution? And I was like, well, like one person we've been talking to is Justin, and like obviously, no, that's a bit of a sore subject here. And she like dead in the like just was like, don't like do not. I don't want to like say it, but like she was like,
I might get exiled from the StudentWorks community for having him on the podcast.
no,
I'm
I don't think so.
Have we posted it yet?
No, we haven't posted it. It's still in the editing stage.
How long do you think it would take you to get a user?
I feel like by the end, well,
I'll go.
Like a random user, like how long do you think it would take you to like convert like a stranger like in the US to a user? How many hours of work?
well,
You could probably just find a list of painting. You could probably buy a list.
Maybe
for
3
$100
hours?
bucks.
3 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
maybe 3 hours. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like the setup time and like when is he a user at what point, like when the money's in my bank account or like,
cash collected, yeah.
oh okay 2 hours. I was just thinking like the time it'd take to like set him up and onboard him and like walk him through the
It's crazy.
or
yeah.
them
Yeah.
They done, yeah.
So if you do like $100 a month, or even like $50 a month, and you get like one user in 2 hours,
Yeah.
even like straight up on the cash collected, you're still making like I guess only $25 an hour. But then obviously you assume they're like on a retainer, and then you like get that process a little bit better. You get a testimonial from them. Maybe you increase your price. Now it's $100. Maybe you get more users on it. Seems like it's about that time.
Yeah, it's about that time, bro. If it's gonna take you 2 hours to get a customer, like a year ago, for example, how long did it take you to get a customer?
Well, you probably couldn't because the app wasn't
infinite
functional.
infinite
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, no, but now it's done. Like they get like it's just like not exactly where it should be is what kind of like I guess what we've been telling ourselves, but like it's never going to be ready.
Yeah.
Like, that's so true.
Yeah.
Like you're booking work right now for your painting company, and you probably haven't hired employees yet to even do the work.
Yeah.
Same shit, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's so fucking true.
Yeah.
I'm literally gonna leave this podcast.
So start.
Josh, Brian, like I'm calling people like.
Sick, man. Well, yo, it's been a fucking pleasure,
Yeah.
Donald. Super
Yeah.
stoked to have you on. Any closing thoughts?
Good questions. I'm glad that I was able to share, and hopefully in a few months, maybe we can follow up and I'll have like more to say on the journey and like
Yeah.
what's happening, because you guys are kind of just catching me like right at the beginning.
Yeah. What if you have some people listening who are interested in trying the app? Where do they find you? Where do they get more info?
289-383-5966 is my cell number.
There you go.
I think we're gonna have a website by the end of the week.
discount code in the bio, 10% off first one.
Just text me, and obviously we'll have a pricing model by 5 o'clock today, so TBD, but yeah.
Sick. Alright, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Let's go.
That's the luck.
Thanks.
Closers only.
Cool.
Jeez.
Gang.
That was fun.
That's the pod.
Oh.
I hear Matt here.
Yeah.
I think so. Yo, Matt.
Someone walked in.
Why on, brother?
That's good, Phil. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, I'm Donald.
Nice to meet you, man. I'm Matt.
I'm Phil's brother.
Yeah, I know.